welcome to another night of chess and psychology. Well, first night of 2021 psychology. Ha! I was pretty sure I would say the date wrong, so that I take that as a small personal achievement. Hopefully everybody is having a great start of the year. I don't really have much news to say besides struggling with scheduling, MCAT, just trying to figure out when to study, how to study, trying to keep the room clean. Ooh, that one is not really going well. I still have to adjust a lot on that. And yeah, a lot of things going on. You guys will be seeing a lot more of me until 20th, and then I will probably have to step back and just focus more on studying because it's gonna get really rough. My it's I'll tell you more about it as we are talking about the game. When I take a little pause, we will talk about that a little bit more. Ooh, I see a lot of my regulars are here. Peter, Elvis, Omi, Yaroslav. Ooh, all right, awesome. So this is one of my most favorite games when it comes to Lopez. Last week, well, we talked a lot about me playing Lopez from Black, and I know that we talked about Lopez as White a while ago over the summer, I want to say. And from White, we had a different perspective because I was recommending this line with Queen E2, and I'm sure we can find the link on YouTube to put it here as well later on. But my from Black, we never really covered it, and GMP is also sharing his satisfactions. Yeah, Pishi is meowing at the stray cat again. I fed him or her just before I went live. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. If there are any Indians here, or you might, well, you would most likely know Ruy Padmini. If not, she's a very famous chess player. She's a very strong, I believe she's on India's national team for women. So, if you know her, you're gonna really like this game. Even if you don't know her, you're still gonna like this game. So, sure, what's up, Elvis? Peter. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I open the door a little bit, and the stray cat comes in for a little bit and just warms up, and then he goes out again. So I don't really know what's his deal, but he kind of somewhat trusts me, but he wouldn't eat from my hand. But he would come very close and he meows at me. So I think we got a good relationship going on with the stray cat. But no, I wouldn't let the other cat get close to my cat, even though he's vaccinated and everything. Anyways, cat lawn problems. Um, well, Elvis, we are not focusing too much on the opening of it, but I am advocating for this line either with a6, knight f6, or generally doing the fianchetto in this line. I do advocate for that, and that's something that I talked about last week. So I wanted to show you a little bit different way that I went for this game. And so this game I didn't actually go for this g6 Lopez, because I usually go for either g6 or d6, and I'm kind of a big fan on these ones and these ideas with knight e7. I just generally like this. However, well, that's also another good thing that does somewhat transpose from King's Indian if you were to play it. But this game is, I'm showing it's more because of the tactics that were included in this game, not necessarily the opening of it, because I also ran out of the opening ideas pretty quickly anyways. I also can't believe this game was over 5 years ago. I feel old. Yeah. This was in 2015 Qatar Masters, and I had a lot of fun in that tournament. I played a lot of good games, but it was like I think it was one of the first tournaments that I was traveling alone without my mom, and that was kind of interesting. But I also really did enjoy Qatar. It was very humid, but anyways, that's a whole different story. Um, Oh, and I think I was like literally the last rank or one before last because the tournament was 2300 above and I was barely above 2300, so that made it a lot more fun. I felt like a punching bag. Okay, so here, this is not necessarily the main choice of playing. Well, you know, people usually get this bishop out, right? I went for b5 and I got bishop b7 first because I was slightly hopeful I could get this bishop out from g7, and I didn't because my opponent was a very strong chess player and she knew what she was doing and everything. And I had this line very little prepared because I expected her to play other stuff and everything, but generally I wouldn't exactly advocate for this a6 b5. And the reason I'm actually showing you this opening is because how easily you can get busted in the opening, and I almost did get busted, and then I pulled some tactics out and it looks pretty cool. But anyway, so let's just take a quick moment and evaluate this position. So black to move. Well, one thing that's obvious is we're not going to do long castle. We're definitely going to go short castle. So now the question is, what do you want to do with this bishop? So Elvis, I don't exactly base my decisions on the opponent's rating. Well, the more I can prepare for the opponent, the better. So before the game, I would know my opponents for most tournaments, and I would simply look them up on the chess-based database or Mega, or well, back when there's Chess TV, now there's not. And I would look at their games and I would try to make a decision on the things that they usually play, and so what would I play against that. So I am quite proud of my preparations generally. So huh, I see that Lopez Zeppel. Yeah, there are a lot of things possible to do with this bishop. Bishop e7 or bishop c5 are the most common ones. I wouldn't advocate for g6 because this knight g5 can actually get very nasty. I'm one move short. If my bishop was already on g7 and I could long castle, that would be good. But g6 wouldn't work now, and something like h6 is too slow because then knight gets up and knight's coming to d5. I just don't have enough time, and white's pieces are more ready. So that's one of the reasons this would not be working. This idea with g6. So at this point, I was like, okay, so g6 is not working. I should either go bishop e7 or I should go bishop bishop to c5. So which one do you guys think we should do? I see that there are they're like a mix of both ideas in the chat. So I went for bishop e7. My reasoning was, well, just because with bishop c5s, I didn't know what to expect. I rarely play this bishop c5s when it comes to Lopez because I generally place my bishop on g7. So to me, bishop c5 was an uncomfortable move just mainly because I didn't know where was I placing my pieces after that. I was like, okay, if knight c3, castle, there could be bishop g5, and then what am I gonna do? Maybe h6, and maybe I gotta bring this back. It felt very unnatural to me, so I didn't go for it. I went for bishop e7. I will give you a heads up. Much later in the game, I did replace my bishop back in this diagonal, which I thought was kind of cool. So bishop e7, yeah, another problem with bishop c5 was this idea of c3 d4 too. Just a lot of things to watch out for when the bishop is on c5. So I simply went for bishop e7. Now, Ruth did this knight c3. Now, how do you think we should develop? Well, the next two moves could simply be d6 and short castle. But my question is, what after that? What are you trying to achieve after that? always that expansion on the king side is something that you should consider, but the best way to do it is when when the center is closed. So if you have your pawn on d6, your opponent has his pawn on d5, that's when it would go best, when we are doing that, when we are closing up the center a little bit. So yeah, that's a little, that's one of the things that's a little tricky. So yeah, I agree. Okay, Yaroslav, you got this. Yeah, I agree with this first two moves and the idea of moving this knight to being able to do c5. That's what I wanted to hear. Yeah. So d6. In the game, she played a4. Now, what do you think we should do after this a4? This a4 feels a little unnatural, and we should face it. We should do something about it. We shouldn't just sit and watch it. And I have a meowing cat. Oh boy. So one thing is for sure, we shouldn't take it. You kind of have two choices. Either push it or do something with like knight a5 to try and go for that guy. Uh-oh, maybe it's time for GMP to be hugged and squished. Alright, so I see that you guys are trying to figure out which one to go for. I kind of like that. So I think b4 is definitely doable. My issue with b4 was that with b4, I can't, I have to be able to actually figure out what to do next, as in sense of, well, if you go knight to e2, I'm kind of pushing your knight towards this f5 square, which I have no protection for. So that's something that I would have to actually deal with, and it was very unnatural to me. Go a bit. And the other part about b4 was this knight d5. So what would you guys want to do? Would you want to take it? Would you not want to take it? If you don't take it, then your bishop on e7 is under pressure. If you do take it, then the bishop can take it. Now this is another pin. And it all feels a lot, a little uncomfortable, a little more uncomfortable than intended. So yeah, let's just go back and look at that. So I chose not to go for b4. I thought knight a5 was a little bit more stable. If you were to take this, awesome. I'll just take that. I'll mess with your pawn structure a little bit. Now, good luck with these pawns. Take, I can simply take over here. Now that's another thing that I'm going to be happy about. I can simply just ignore your knight over here, go for d5s. It's going to be very interesting. I agree. No, the piecing needs a little bit of squishing. It's that time. Yeah, so I liked my idea with knight a5. My opponent, she's smart, she's a strong chess player. She played bishop a2. Now, what do you guys think we should do now? So we did this one small kick, now what? Yeah, Pichu is not very happy about this. I'm not entirely sure why. Oh, Kessel, please feel free to refresh my memory. Where have we met? Yeah, I did call, yep, Pichu is literally RC. I like it. Let's push pawn. Yep. I'm hoping you guys are talking about d4, right? Because if you go c5, your pawn is falling, so be careful a little bit with that. Alright, so b4 is actually a very good idea. That is what I went for too. Knight goes to e2. The thing is, now knight d5 does, I mean, it still exists. It's not an illegal move. But after take, pawn takes, and it feels more stable because, yes, you could take with bishop, but then after this exchange, I still can just simply do c5. And even if you do the en passant, now my knight is coming back, I have potential to take over center, and it just feels much, much more natural and much more planned than other positions. So, yeah. That's one that could be doable too. And if you take with pawn, I think c5 still very much exists. b3 looks kind of cool. Meow meow. Alright. So in the game, she played knight e2. Now, what do you think we should do? Ryan, I don't know. I have very mixed feelings about it. I feel like if I prepare for it, I would like it, but if I just go out on a whim and play it, I will get punished. So, mixed feelings. Well, I guess my meow scared the cat. Ha, nice. So, what do you guys think about this one? Oh, c5, interesting. So I think the choice is kind of between should we castle now or should we move some pawns, because I'm getting the idea with c5 and d5 and stuff like that. I think castle is a little bit more stable because as I see also in the chat, there is a, I don't want to say confusion, maybe a debate between whether we want pawn to be on c5 or do we want to play c6, d5. So mainly because we don't exactly know about that, it would be beneficial to do castle because we know we want to do castle, so let's do the castle and we'll see where we want to place this pawn. So after castle, knight g3, very normal, going after f5 square. So we're not going to play something like g6 because that kind of stops it. Well, that does stop it, but that also gives your king lots and lots of weaknesses, and your bishop would be better if it was on g7 if you were going to play g6. So we're not going to play g6. So how else can we fight this knight d5? And okay, I should probably stop gushing over the cat, but he's sitting right here, like literally behind the laptop and staring at me. There is a small possibility that he will walk into the microphone, so I apologize in advance for that. As a prophylaxis, I apologize. Prophylaxis apology. So, being all cute and all, but it can be a little cutie pie. Alright, so, Kesa, well, queen d7 or queen c8 doesn't really help you because, well, still knight comes to f5 and you can't really take it. Bishop c8 doesn't make much sense anyways because we're like, the problem with bishop c8 is you can just do d4, so that's also a little cringy. If you have to play bishop c8, you shouldn't play bishop c8, just play c5 and fight that way. And, yeah, kitty prophylaxis. So, you have another choice too. What do you guys think about d5? And yes, I know this pawn is falling, at least being under attack. So just asking your opinion. I'm not saying if this is a good or bad move, just asking opinion. Alright, I see one like, one dislike. Bunch of people probably still processing it. Well, we are going to open up the center. That's kind of the idea. One of the ways to fight this idea with knight f5 is to go for d5. But the question is, does it work here? If take, yes, we could simply take it back with knight or bishop. I think bishop might be a little bit more feisty, because if you take on e4, now I can take, and there's this cool queen d5. I've been doing a lot of puzzles with my kids, so this would actually work, would be pretty cool. One more way to look at it is this idea with like rook e1, and you could take and play bishop d6. If take were here, now you would still have some ideas, because like a lot of pieces are misplaced. But overall, I agree, d5 is not the best move. The best move in this position is actually c5, and that's something that I didn't feel comfortable about over the game. And I wanted to play feisty, and I wanted to kind of give my opponent a little like scratch and hiss and see how that goes, but it went pretty well actually. But c5 is the best way to go. I was afraid of knight f5, but I shouldn't have, because now I could just play, alright, well, we can just go like king h8, and we could think about that. Or now we could go like something bishop c8. It's not as comfortable as I would hope, but it's still very much doable. I can even like try to move more pieces around, try to go for that. So yeah, that was one thing that I could do. Okay, so let's go back. Here, after going for d5 and queen e2 was played, again, knight e5. So what do you guys think? What happens if my opponent took this knight takes e5 right away? Because that's something that's very doable, and it's kind of a scary one too. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. Uh-oh. Here comes the cat. Please don't touch the microphone. Oh boy. He's definitely touching the microphone. Prophylaxis, and let's move the microphone so the cat does not eat it. I apologize for your ears. Hopefully the prophylaxis apology was enough to give a little bit of heads up. Alright, let me grab the cat. He's being a little... How you doing, boy? Uh-oh, Ben Simon calling me. Probably I should pick up. What's up, Ben?
Hey, is everything okay? It sounds wild.
The Pishi was facing the microphone. I moved the cat, and I moved the microphone away from the cat. I apologize for your ears.
Okay, that's okay. I just make sure it was okay.
So it'll probably sound like an earthquake, right?
It sounded like the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh god. I gotta go watch that clip later.
Alright, good luck.
Yes, we're fine. Thank you for checking.
Alright.
Thanks. Yeah, that was fun. So that was my producer Ben Simon calling to make sure I'm alive, and Pishi did not kill me with that sound. I hope your ears are fine, everybody else. I did give a small heads up, and I did have a prophylaxis apology. Alright, so we were just talking about this position, and how if d5 was a good idea, and my point was d5 was a good fighting option, but not the best one, and the best one was c5. The main problem with d5 is knight takes e5, and if you were to take, and take would be fine, but the problem is knight f5, and you see these knights are getting really wild, or even d4. That's also another issue. So yeah, that's something to figure out, and so that's why d5 was not the best choice. Rout simply played queen e2, which was another good idea. He wants to play rook d1, wants to do everything strategically and correctly. Now, what do you think we should do as black? We have few choices. Most of our choices should be in regard of keeping this pawn alive, because that pawn is about to be a gonzo. So, what do you think we should do? Oh, wait, that's Tracy? Oh, okay, well, oh. Now that's a little tricky. Why is Tracy behind here? Not that I'm complaining, Tracy's a doll. Okay, so I see the ideas with bishop d6, but the problem is if you play bishop d6, bishop g5 is coming up, and white does have advantage, so you gotta be a little careful about that. Another thing is if bishop d6, thinking, no, taking doesn't really sound correct, because then you would have b3 and then you would activate this. That's why I absolutely love having this knight and this pawn here, because it always gives me this cute b3 ideas. Bishop d6 problem is bishop g5. And even if you were to take it, now knight takes it, and there's more pressure, and it doesn't really go well. Again, similar idea with knight c6, now knight f5. That's again serious issue. Knight d7, he can just easily eat this pawn, and again this pawn is kind of getting punished too. So I think you have logically few choices. One of them is b3. I think b3 is a pretty cool idea, because if you were to take it, now this knight c6 is pretty cool, because knight can jump around a little bit, and everything is somewhat defended. So I think b3 was the best idea. I went for take. My point was, if you take it, now I can do bishop d6. Now, can you tell me if this works or not? So now it's white's to move. What do you think white can do to bring some pain, basically? Alright, so I see a lot of interesting ideas going around, but knight f5, bishop g5, I see those that are very interesting. Rook d1, yeah, rook d1 is the best and most simple way to go, because you did this queen d2 to do this rook d1, so let's go ahead and do that. Queen c4 doesn't really serve a purpose, and also a little tiny bit of blunder. I would love queen c4 as black. So after rook d1, now what do you think we should do as black? Because you are facing some serious issues. This pawn is falling for beginning. You could consider something like queen e8, but then bishop goes to g5. You move this, then knight goes to f5. Everything is just attacking you. And it's really, it's just not gonna, you're not gonna be able to really hold it. So That's for queen 8. Queen e7, I assume similar ideas with either knight f5 first or bishop g5 first. So white's next two move are basically bishop g5 and knight f5. So the question is, how are you going to be able to fight that? And knight c6 is a legit possibility, but after bishop g5, again h6, bishop goes away, and this pin really does stay. So to put it very bluntly, black is a little bit having issues in this position. There's one pin over here, there's another pin right around the corner, this square is just crying. So yeah, this pawn is also another crybaby, so good luck. In the game, I just wanted to find something that would give me some chance of fighting. So here, black is worse. Saying it loud and proud, I had a worse position against a stronger opponent, but I managed to find some tricks and win it. So now we're trying to figure out how. Well, in the game, I went for king h8. My point was, if you come bishop g5, now I'm gonna try and kick this bishop away a little. Maybe I could do like a q5, maybe I could do like a rook g8, g5. I could just do something, because I don't want to sit there and just get mated. So that was kind of my general idea. In the game, she played bishop d2 because she wants to eat this pawn, right? Free pawn, why not? Now, black to move, what do you think we should do? Whoops. This move, bishop d2, was an inaccuracy. Best move for white was to still go for bishop g5. And then I would probably have to do like a h6, then do like a b3, kick that one, then try to maybe bring this knight around a little. But white still does hold considerable advantage. So bishop g5 was the way to go. She made a mistake with bishop d2. Now the question is, how are we going to, well, survive this, basically? Alright, I see some ideas with knight c6, I see some ideas with b3. I think the problem with b3 right now is also bishop takes a5, and that's not really ideal, so that's a little sad. Oh, hi Exquisite, how's it going? Yeah, so in the game I just went for queen e8, and I was like, okay, so let's get this queen away from this pin, let's save this bishop from being overloaded and being pinned. And I was like, okay, so I know my position is worse, but at least it's not as horrible as I thought. There's a question about knight e5. So what do you guys think knight e5, well, actually knight e5 is actually a decent move. The problem with knight e5 was queen e7 and going after this guy. So now when you move it, I still have something taking on e4. And it's still very much playable. There's nothing really wrong with it, but at the same time, white wanted to gain more. That's why this was not white's going. That was not exactly white's first choice. Thank you, Exquisite. Yeah, I'm a little sad that it's super duper cold here, but it doesn't snow, so I made it snow basically. Yeah, so after bishop d2, queen e8 to just avoid all bunch of pins, and she played bishop g5, so she kind of realized that, ooh, probably I should have, gone for this pawn earlier, for this pin earlier. Now, black to move, what do you think you should do? And to be fair, these are kind of sucky positions, so if you can't really find the best move, it's not because, well, it's most likely because the best moves are kind of weird, so don't feel bad about it. And my iPad is acting up a little bit. Just a second, let me Load back YouTube. Alright. Oh my. Oof. Well, that's nice. Keep calling me Princess Leia. What would Peachy be in that situation? Yeah, you're actually correct, Exile. And Pablo, Knight G8 was the best move. And I was very stubborn to do this. Ha. Knight G8 would be a good choice because then after Knight F5 I could just try to save this bishop, put this bishop in a slightly better place, try to bring back the knight, try to, do it like an F6. I guess Pishi agrees too. But I was very stubborn and I really did not want to play this Knight G8. So I was very scared of Knight F5 at the same time, so I just went for Bishop C8. And I was somewhat fine with take, which did happen in the game, and then Bishop D5. So, now, what to do? Yeah, Knight G8 would have been a smarter choice. I think Knight G8 would simply give it a little bit more room. I didn't like how it would just like resign in the activity department, but that was kind of the idea, to want to bring it back, but there wasn't enough time, and this knight had ideas with b3, well, no longer. But so there wasn't really enough time. And here again, the problem is c6 doesn't exactly work, because simply take and then take on d6. Yeah, nice. So I kind of had to know what I was doing, and I went for rook b8. I was like, okay, this rook defending this pawn, we'll see how that goes for a little bit. Knight h4, going after this guy. So you have a worse position. Your opponent has somewhat advantage, but you're not completely dead, so you just have to be able to put up a good fight. So how can you put up this good fight? So my question is, the situation, what do you think, what plan could you come up with? Because if you could come up with a plan that could somewhat help you, and you should always have a plan when you are playing chess. Uh-oh. Alright, so I'm seeing a lot of ideas with bishop e6 or knight c6, but rook g8 seems more legit. Yeah, because rook g8 is making it harder for it to work, because with rook g8 now trying to at least get like a bishop g4 out. So rook g8 somewhat maybe. Now knight comes to f5. Now what? Attacking your bishop? Pishi? Bishop c5 interesting, but careful, knight h6 coming up. So you kind of have to go bishop f8. Taking doesn't really solve any problem, because you would just give up another piece that's valuable too. so you shouldn't really go for that. Bishop f8 is perfectly fine. You should kind of, it's more like a waiting game, so your opponent has the advantage, but it's not super clear that he could come and just like really whoop you. So let's try to figure out, after this bishop f8, then what? No, you don't have a good enough position to want to sacrifice, and you shouldn't do that. Sacrifice should be when you actually need it. Shouldn't just be because you can't find anything else. I say that because I've done that before, and I thought that sacrifice was just good enough. I could get by it, and it was a very painful game. Alright, so, yep. Bishop comes back to f8, trying to still protect some stuff. It's a little bit painful because most of my pieces are in the 8th rank, but it does get better, I am telling you. Also, you can see the results here. It does get better. So now she played b3 because she wanted to stop my b3s. Now rook g6, stopping the ideas with knight h6 so I can free my bishop. And here, I think she started to play a little bit inaccurate. So she still had to like try to get the queen out, try to do these. She just went rook d2, and of course bishop c5. That was the whole idea with rook g6, to stop the h6. And she played rook d1. Now, black to move, what should we do? Keep in mind that this knight is kind of sad over here. Your rook is kind of alright, your bishop is great, so you should keep that bishop there. But you should try to still make better use of these 3 pieces. So how can you make that work? Queen g8, yep, I like that. I don't exactly know what I want to do with this knight, because if knight c6, the problem is take, and you know, rook d8 is also coming up. That gotta hurt. So you can't really do much with your knight at the moment. But you can bring this queen to g8 and have some ideas. Now you could also threaten bishop f5 as well, because then pawn would have to take it, because knight can't take it because of g2 pawn. So, yep, queen g8. She played bishop c4. See, like bishop c4 was a little bit inaccurate. She could easily play like king h1 to avoid checks, but she went for bishop c4. Now, what does this bishop c4 give us that we didn't have before? So now, with this bishop moved away from c4, so the ideas of rook d8 are also pretty valid. You gotta be careful about that. Now, what should you do as black? To be completely honest, white still does hold a pretty decent advantage, so you should still do very accurate moves as best as you can. So yeah, your knight gets to escape, exactly. This bishop moving gave your knight in this square to go back to. So great. In the game, my opponent took bishop takes a6. Now be very careful. She just ate a pawn. So should we take it back? Should we let it be? Or should we take over here? So you have like 3 simple-ish choices. Which one should you go for? Alright, I see the ideas. Oh, thank you, Riley. That's very sweet of you to say so. Yeah, there's so many different videos. I feel like that's super great. I wish when I was learning chess or I was improving my chess, I had this much video access. Alright, so I see a lot of different ideas, but you should take over at f5, because if you were to take on a6, it's still definitely doable, but you kind of activate your opponent's queen, and this knight here is going to be kind of hard to remove. Even if you play this knight d4, again, queen can simply move away. Now you could try to move it a little, but it's not the same. You're playing very defensive. The only way that you could try and play offensive is to take over here, take back, move this rook, well, because your rook was under attack, and in the game she played king h1. Now, you see you have some ideas. Your rook is a little bit active, your back rank is saved because of this knight, so you could try and move this queen somewhere. You could try to get a little bit more active. So how? Knight d4 definitely doable. Knight d4 is actually the most accurate move. Bringing the queen is another great move that I went for too. Well, not right away, but that's kind of the idea. The problem is if you went queen g4 right away, this knight e4 is kind of the problem, giving you this mini fork. So you have to be very careful with this, but that's kind of the idea. You want to activate your queen. But right now, knight d4 makes more sense. You come up with the knight, attack the queen, and you also block up the rook. So knight d4 is like a triple awesome move. And queen e3, or queen should, my opponent should have brought her queen somewhere to d3 or e3, and she didn't. That was her mistake. She should have kept the position super active. Like if she played queen e3, also stops my ideas with queen g5, right? So I wouldn't really know what to do after that. Maybe I would still like try to play something like bishop b6, or maybe I could move this knight around with that idea. But I think the problem would still be there. You could try to play knight h5, but then again, I could take over here. Like, there's still that great fight going on, but my point being that my opponent should have kept her queen active. She played queen to e1. Now, what do you think we should do after this queen e1? Be careful, this idea with knight e4 still exists. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about, Yaroslav. That just because the position looks better doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win it. So, especially, it was kind of interesting because my opponent actually had the higher rating. And I was the one who was kind of had the worst position for most of the game. I still do hold the worst position. No, we shouldn't. Knight f5 does not work. You just take back. There's not much to this rook g2, especially because there's this knight g3 that kind of picks up the rook. No, knight f5 ain't the way. Queen g5 would be possible if there wasn't a knight e4, but knight e4 right now, unfortunately, still kind of works. Well, we can do queen f4 and still try to go for the attack. Huh, this actually, ooh, that's kind of funny. Uh-oh, hold on. There's a cool tactic here. Let me ask. So here, black to move, what is this cool tactic? Black to move, how are you going to win? Ah, I forgot I had tea here. Oh man, well that's sad. That tea is gonna be cold. Yeah, that's one cold tea. Yep, rook g2, you got it. And if the king takes, that is mate in 3 moves. Anybody wants to finish it off? Going once, going twice before I sell it to Pishi. Where is he? Yep, queen f3. King has to move if you go to f1. Since that square is occupied, queen h1 gives checkmate, king g1, rook comes, and voila, or voila. Ooh, or. So many different mates, I love it. Yeah, so that would be how rook g2 would be the way to go. So knight e4 actually doesn't really work as well as I thought, but again, bishop c4 is there, or h3 also works, just kicking the rook, and then you would have to move the rook, and then queen can come to e3, and queen g5 is still a little bit premature. Would rook g8 first work? I'm assuming we are talking about queen g5, knight e4, queen over here, take, and rook g8. No, because there's queen e3. Tarek, are we talking about this position, or... Yeah, feel free to correct me if that's not the position you're talking about. Anyways, we could simply try and bring up the queen and the rook too. That was also pretty doable. But this is the easiest way to go. Yeah, as long as you had rook g8 check, that was the way to go. Yeah. Yep. So in the game I went for bishop b6 just because I didn't want to worry about this knight e4. So, it was nice having you here, Kesef. Bye. Well, the problem is that after, well, not exactly a problem, but after bishop b6, I still hold all of the same ideas with queen g5, and white should have done like an f3 to kick this rook a little bit to mess with my pieces coordination, and then try to bring the bishop to defense, and something with like queen g5, and then again like a knight e2. Just try to exchange a little bit to get rid of some of my stronger pieces. She didn't. She played bishop d3. And nothing really wrong with bishop d3, just that it gives me some chances. So now, black to move, what to do? And I have a cat playing with my foot. Kind of like it when he does that, but a little ticklish. Ooh, h5, interesting. So, not exactly, but I like the way you think of bringing more pieces. You could try and bring your queen. Yeah, Yaroslav, you got this. Queen g5. Queen g5 is the easiest, well, not easiest, the most practical way to go. Because after queen g5, you're gonna just bring more pieces, you're just gonna bring more, yeah, we're also gonna try and swing the other rook around, yep. So I went for this, and in the game, she just went for bishop e4. And bishop e4, rook g8, just doubling, tripling up, and just doing my best to bring pressure. And the one thing that I remember was that in the game, I didn't have a clear plan on how I was going to win. Like, doing rook g8, I wasn't like, okay, rook g8, I want to take on g3, I want to do this, I want to do that. It wasn't like that. It was just, I had to improve my pieces so that I could give myself the chance to actually form an attack. So it was mainly about forming an attack, not exactly about finding like that amazing tactic, because I thought if I do form, oh, hello, no, you ain't gonna mess with people's ears anymore. How's it going, buddy? So yeah, it wasn't exactly about finding that awesome tactic, because I knew that I should just develop, put my pieces in good places, and the tactic will pop up by itself. Right, kitty? Just don't go to the microphone. Good boy. Gotta go the other way. Microphone is here. Good boy. Go teach instead of me. I love that when happens. So, in the game, my opponent played... what did my opponent play? No, my opponent played... oh yeah, she started to go after a5s. Alright, let me try to get the cat, because I gotta see the game. Who is a good boy? Sit down. Exactly, cat counterattack. Alright, so he is a very demanding individual. Yeah, so that was kind of her idea. She wanted to push over here, but rook a1 was not a good idea. Can you tell me why not? So black to move. What do you think is the best move after rook a1? To be fair, I missed it in the game. Also because we were in time trouble, but still. Oh. Yeah. No, he's not IM. He's GM, PC. He's being a better boy. I don't really care for your tail, honey. Let's just come to mama over here. Good boy. Alright, so what do you think we should do as black? Ah, Yaroslav got it, yep. Rook e4, easiest. Just overloaded pieces. Queen defending here, queen defending here. This knight can't really move because I'll have queen takes g2. So, yeah. That's what I should have done with rook e4, but I made the small mistake of not doing that. It didn't really change that much about the game. It made it a little bit more, tiny bit longer, but it was kind of the same idea anyways. Okay, so rook takes e4 would have been the easiest way to win, because after queen takes, just queen takes d2. And that's a nice, like a full piece, voila. So it was kind of funny that both of us missed it. I went for rook h4 because I thought rook h4 I'm creating some threats. And in the game she just pushed for a5. And again, I should have taken over here or taken over there. I played bishop a7. I thought that was the best way to go about it. Just bring your bishop, kitty kitty. You gotta sit down. And then I went for the cat counterattack. He really wants to be on the camera. Alright, kitty, move. Good boy. Feels like a crocodile walking in front of the camera. Yeah. Yep, I agree. Black is having a blast. Well, the thing is, if you took it and then you could, oh, that would be fun. Then you could simply take over on e4 and then again take that back. But it's not exactly as strong as if you did that rook e4 immediately. So I went for bishop a7 and she played a6. Again, I could take rook takes e4. Ugh. And I didn't. So this also should help you not feel guilty about missing tactics. So I simply went for queen f4 because I thought queen f4, I'm threatening some ideas with rook g3. Ooh, she's really asking for attention, huh? So yeah, queen f4, I thought it kind of works because I want to bring my other piece. And okay, she actually did make a mistake. She kind of cracked under pressure. She should have played something with h3 here or king g1. But she went for rook takes d4, which I don't know why she did that. I understand that this knight is kind of annoying over here, and I could have some ideas from left and right with this knight, but there isn't anything concrete, so I don't think she should have given that up. So she took this rook d4, which was kind of weird. I took it back, and then she just played a7, and then I took bishop f2, and she resigned, because I also have some nice g3 eating threats. But my whole point was that when I started putting pressure for like 5-10 moves, she kind of broke under the pressure. So that's why I actually always advised you to put pressure. She broke psychologically. I didn't really have any threats. Yeah, my position looks kind of scary, and yeah, this knight is weak, that knight is strong, this bishop is good, but I don't really have like a checkmate threat. I don't really have like a tactical genius coming up. So that's why I think she psychologically broke under the pressure, and that's why this is called chess on psychology, because I do want you guys to be able to psychologically enjoy chess and psychologically battle your opponent and get it done. So yeah, that is one of the games that I did want to show you today. I don't really have time to show anymore, but you're gonna have a lot of me until January 20th, so I will be showing more of that. And no, Rikesh dude, this is very premature. Your pieces are not ready. You could take over here, yeah, but your pieces are not ready. You don't have that. You don't have that flow. The problem is also this pawn, so you can't really just go for it. You have to actually kind of let it sit, and you have to keep preparing for it. But yeah, there's this. I think that's one of the reasons, because there's so many possibilities. She broke under pressure and I didn't, so that's why I won the game. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. It was a kind of a weird game because I missed some chances. She had a better position pretty much all game, and she was a stronger chess player. She's still a stronger chess player, so I kind of like that. But all right, so I hope you enjoyed the rest of your week. I will see you on Thursday for some of the classes and some of the streams. So make sure to tune in for that on Twitch and for our YouTube channel. And with that note, I am going to say goodnight to you and go see why my cat is super hyped. Maybe he sniffed some catnip or something. Anyways, I'll see you on Thursday. Have a good rest of your evening.